Hi guys, and welcome to English Cafe Class. During today's class, we will be studying the second conditional. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel for future videos and lessons. Let's get started. Second conditional. First, we are going to study the use. Then, we're going to study the structure. Later, followed by some examples. And lastly, some practice. Let's get started. The use of second conditional. We use a second conditional to talk about imaginary situations in the present and/or future. For example, if I won the lottery, I would buy a new car. This is an imaginary situation because winning the lottery is quite rare. And I would buy a new car is talking about the result of the imaginary situation. This sentence is an imaginary situation about the future. It is unlikely and/or impossible. Now let's look at the structure of second conditional. If plus past simple, comma, would or wouldn't plus infinitive. For example, if I were the president, I would lower taxes. We can also set up the structure of a second conditional sentence in a different way. So we can start with would, wouldn't, plus infinitive, if plus past simple. So it's the exact same content, but just in a different order. And remember, in this order, we do not use a comma. For example, I would lower taxes if I were the president. Note here, there is no comma. Now that we understand the structure, let's have a look at some examples. Remembering, we are writing about imaginary present and/or future situations. Examples. Remember the structure is if plus past simple, comma, would or wouldn't, plus infinitive. The example, if I were on the beach right now, I would be really happy. This is second conditional because maybe the person speaking is at home, so being on the beach is impossible. Now let's look at it in the different order. Would or wouldn't plus infinitive, if plus past simple. I would be really happy if I were on the beach right now. So it's the exact same sentence, but just in a different order and with no comma, but it does not change the meaning. Now let's study the sentence a little bit more in some detail. If I were on a beach right now, let's look at that part. Were is the past simple of the verb be. In conditional sentences, we use the form were for the subject I. It is an exception. Now let's look at the second part of the sentence. I would be really happy. Would be is would plus infinitive. This part of the conditional sentence is quite simple because we don't need to change anything. Now let's have a look at another example. If plus past simple, comma, would or wouldn't plus infinitive. If she arrived on time, comma, we wouldn't be late at the moment. Now let's look at the sentence in the other order. Would or wouldn't plus infinitive, if plus past simple. We wouldn't be late at the moment if she arrived on time. Again, no comma, but also no change in meaning. Now let's look at the example sentence in more detail. The first part of the sentence, if she arrived on time. Arrived is the past simple of the verb arrive. And now looking at the second part of the sentence. We wouldn't be late at the moment. Wouldn't be is the negative form of would plus infinitive. Now let's look at one more example. Again, if plus past simple, comma, would or wouldn't plus infinitive. If I spoke English, I would be talking a lot more. Now for the other order. Wouldn't plus infinitive, if plus past simple. I would be talking a lot more if I spoke English. Again, these sentences mean the same thing, but they're just in different orders. Now let's look at this sentence in more detail. The first part of the sentence is, if I spoke English. Spoke is the past simple of speak. And the second part of the sentence, I would be talking a lot more. Would be is the positive form of would plus infinitive. Now that we understand the use, the structure, and some examples of second conditional, let's practice. Get a pencil and paper and write your answers down. Then correct your work afterwards. What sentence is a correct second conditional sentence? Number 1. They would stay longer if they had more time. 2. They would stayed longer if they had more time. 3. They would stay longer if they have more time. Okay, now is the time to pause the video and to write your answer down. And the answer is number 1. They would stay longer if they had more time. Great work. Now let's move on to number 2. What sentence is a correct second conditional sentence? Number 1. If I weren't scared, I would bought a motorcycle. If I wasn't scared, I would buy a motorcycle. If I weren't scared, I would buy a motorcycle. Now pause the screen and think about your answer. And the correct answer is number 3. If I weren't scared, I would buy a motorcycle. Moving on to number 3. What sentence is a correct second conditional sentence? Number 1. If I had more money, I wouldn't work so many hours. 2. If I have more money, I wouldn't work so many hours. 3. If I had more money, I will work so many hours. Now it's time to pause the screen and think about your answer. And the correct answer is number 1. If I had more money, I wouldn't work so many hours. Great work. Congratulations. You have now finished the lesson on second conditionals. Conditionals are so essential in conversations as they allow you to really form interesting sentences. Remember to review these lessons from time to time to help you retain all of the new info.
To help us continue making these videos, please subscribe to our channel below. Also, feel free to leave a like and a comment on what you would like to see on our next video. And please remember that we also do share tips and tricks on our Instagram at EnglishCafeClass. Follow us there if you'd like to learn more English phrases, idioms, grammar, vocabulary, and a lot more. Thank you and have a great day.